Hello everyone, and on today's News Flash, we are talking about how Democrats handled the latest BS Ilhan Omar controversy. David Frum at it again. Democrats are using a loophole to take corporate money. How they're doing it, we'll talk about that with a piece filed by Lee Thong in The Intercepts. Nancy Pelosi and AOC continue to fight again. Mostly Nancy Pelosi just taking shots at AOC. We'll take a look at that. Also, the right's favorite line about taxes, why it's a lie, this April 15th. And Trump campaign officials are now saying that death threats against Ilhan Omar are her faults, including Mark Lauder, Director of Senior Strategic Communications on the Trump 2020 campaign. Yeah, so it's just a bunch of bad stuff today as we join you on this Monday, April 15th, tax day. Also, something that hasn't happened in a while is a Game of Thrones Monday. So that is, Game of Thrones, newest episode of Game of Thrones was last night. We will have a recap for you when the list returns for a second episode season this Saturday. If you want to know about what was going on heading into season 1, we have season 2. We have our season 8. We have a premiere for you up now. List premiere and a preview of the Game of Thrones premiere. We're talking to Tommy North. It's a pretty great episode. Highly encourage you to go check that out. Get it wherever you get your podcast. If you're already subscribed to For the Win, you'll also be able to find that as well. So yeah, that's what we got going on. We got another episode recapping the first episode and looking ahead to the second one with Dirk Paleo this upcoming week. This Saturday. All right. Democratic presidential candidates led by Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren spoke out forcefully in defense of Representative Ilhan Omar this weekend after the President of the United States risked inciting violence against a Muslim congressperson by endorsing the false claim that she downplayed the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. So yeah, that's what happened over the weekend. There's a lot of conflict about this Ilhan Omar situation. Trump tweeting out this video. I did a YouTube video on it. Highly recommend it. And it was kind of the idea that, Ilhan Omar, she doesn't know what she's talking about. And I do want to get to some of the we talked about this a lot, some of the responses and some things that are going on in this situation. We'll go through it all. We got a lot of clips for you. First, let's get to Bernie Sanders' reaction here. Yeah, and if you want the video version of this, go check out my YouTube channel, Spencer Walsh. Look at it and please subscribe. So yeah, here's what Bernie Sanders had to say, saying, quote, Ilhan Omar is a leader with strength and courage. She won't back down to Trump's racism, and neither will we. The disgusting and dangerous attacks against her must end. Bam. That's what I'm talking about. All right. So here's the better one. This is Elizabeth Warren. So yeah, she says the president is inciting violence against a sitting congresswoman, an entire group of Americans based on their religion. It's disgusting and shameful, and any elected leader who refuses to condemn it shares responsibility for it. That's even better in my mind. Let's give a bomb for Elizabeth Warren, bringing thunder there. She actually has the right idea on this, actually saying that, yeah, you, if you don't condemn it, are responsible for this situation. Like, this is your problem here. You need to really look at this. You really need to understand what's going on here. So yeah, those comments from progressive Democratic senators contrasted sharply with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's initial failure to even mention Omar, whose life was recently threatened by a Trump fan. It was a target of the president's inflammatory tweet, which mixed video of her with harrowing images of the World Trade Center towers falling. And I mean, I've been talking to some people over the weekend. I've been talking to SWRN contributor and political analyst David Mulangan over the weekend. I talked to some of the people like James Stanley. I was able to just talk to today, so I'm today. And like they were all, I think they basically pretty much had the idea that this wasn't like it was kind of a BS narrative, which is good, very encouraging. Like at least they know they have that, they understand that. But what I think is it's very important that like we actually now have to move in to do something about that. I think a large amount of people understand like this is a broadly BS narrative, and it's been really inflamed and twisted by Dan Crenshaw, Fox and Friends. But here's what Nancy Pelosi had to say. The memory of 9/11 is sacred ground, and any discussion of it must be done with reverence. The president shouldn't use the painful images of 9/11 for political attack. As we honor our troops in Stuttgart to thank them and be briefed by them, we honor our first responsibility as leaders to protect and defend the American people. It was pretty much useless stuff. Very, very bad. After a wave of criticism for those tepid remarks, which seemed to endorse the claim that Omar had somehow erred in failing to show reverence in how she referred to the 9/11 attacks, which is stupid. Like the real victim is 9/11 here. Like, are you kidding me? No. So Pelosi called on Sunday for Trump's tweet to be deleted and asked for security to step up on Ilhan Omar, saying, quote, following the president's tweet, I spoke to the Sergeant at Arms to ensure the Capitol's police are conducting a security assessment to safeguard Ilhan Omar, her family, and her staff. They will continue to monitor and address the threat she faces. The president's word weigh a ton, and his hateful and inflammatory rhetoric creates real danger. President Trump must take down his disrespectful and dangerous video. So yeah, that is going to be, hopefully she is actually safeguarded here pretty well. Pelosi was forced to take the threats to Omar more seriously by the fact that as the weekend wore on, more and more Democrats followed the lead of Sanders and Warren, who denounced Trump's tweet for its incitement against the Muslim representative rather than the use of its 9/11 imagery. Like, it's like, which, by the way, you should be denouncing it for. Like, any real rational person would be denouncing it for. Trump had propelled the smear campaign against Omar into overdrive on Friday night, taking his cues from Fox News and the New York Post, which stoked outrage by distorting reference to the attacks that Omar made during a speech to a Muslim civil rights group. The raw material for the manufactured outrage was the video of Omar discussing the work of the rights group Council, the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, in combating anti-Muslim bigotry, especially after September 11th, when that kind of nasty behavior was on the rise. So, for far too long, she said, we have lived with the discomfort, being second-class citizen, and frankly, I'm tired of it. She said, CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose our civil liberties. Yeah, it's like, if you don't, again, and this is, the person who tweeted this out was Dan Crenshaw, who, by the way, literally refuses to sponsor the U.S., the bill that provides aid and relief to 9/11 victims, families of first responders, stuff like that. And like, there's a Droga Act, I believe it's called, and the one that, and then a firefighter who was there at the scene said that he was too busy. Dan Crenshaw said he was too busy to discuss these benefits for him and the people who saved so many people on 9/11. Like, it is so disgusting, so just absolutely gut-wrenching. The fact that these people are allowed to do this, it's incredible. In addition to false accusation against Omar, the closing invocation was an accidental reminder that Trump has revealed during the 2016 campaign that he's not, in fact, at all recalled the events of the day, by insisting, all evidence to the contrary, that he remembered watching on television thousands and thousands of American Muslims in New Jersey as cheering the collapse of the towers. Trump betrayed that he was either genuinely confused and believed that something that he had actually imagined took place, or he was willing to smear an entire faith community by intending that their behavior matched his kind of bigoted delusion. Yeah, I mean, I remember that, like, being, like, 3 years ago now? 4 years ago? Yeah, that's crazy. Like, that he was out there, like, being like, oh yeah, remember I saw Muslims dancing around on the tower in 9/11. Like, it is, it's beyond belief that, like, that's what he thinks is okay to say, because it just doesn't happen. It just didn't happen. What he's doing, he really is smearing an entire community and saying that they are okay with this when, like, all evidence, again, to the contrary. So, yeah. The gross distortion of Omar's actual comments were initiated by a fringe Shiite Muslim cleric in Australia, Mohammed Tawhidi, whose embrace of far-right myths about Sunni Muslim plots to destroy Western civilization has made him a favorite among Australian nativists and tabloid journalists working for Rupert Murdoch. I think they got to, of course, the kind of... How do you think it got to the New York Post and Fox News always talking about it? Rupert Murdoch knows about it, probably follows Tweedy. So Mohammed Tweedy tweeted out the video of the congressperson edited from a Daily Caller edit along with the inflammatory lie that Omar mentions 9/11 and does not consider it a terror attack. The false claim, along with another lie that Omar sought to justify the establishment of a terrorist organization, which is laughably called CARE on U.S. soil, was amplified by Dan Crenshaw, who's a Texas Republican. So here's what he has to say. This is the video that he tweeted out with the Daily Caller edit to it. Here she is. The Daily Caller News Foundation.
CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some people did something and that all of us were starting to lose access to our civil liberties.
Yeah, so that's the edit created by the Daily Caller. It literally calls CARE, which is just a group that does things to help civil rights, like the same way it's pretty much AIPAC for Muslims, which I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I think we all know. How Republicans feel about AIPAC, but and then the fact that calling it a terrorist organization on U.S. soil is absolutely ridiculous. Crenshaw's tweet was formed from the basis of a segment broadcast in the White House during the Wednesday morning edition of the President's Daily Briefing, aka Fox and Friends.
All right. Meanwhile, let's talk a little bit about Congresswoman Ilhan Omar. She was last month at an event supporting CARE, which is the Council on American Islamic Relations. And there's a soundbite we're about to play for you that has got some people upset because of how it trivializes September the 11th, the greatest terror attack in our nation's history, which was conducted by terrorists. And here she is talking about how Muslims in this country are scrutinized these days. And then listen to how she describes September the 11th.
Far too long, we have lived with the discomfort of being a second-class citizen. And frankly, I'm tired of it. And every single Muslim in this country should be tired of it. CARE was founded after 9/11 because they recognized that some.
All right, so yeah, we already heard this. Let's just skip ahead really quickly.
Some people did something, like an unprovoked attack, killing people in the Pentagon, thousands in the Pentagon, and the Flight 93, as well as in the World Trade Center. Really? There's some few people that did something? You have to wonder if she's an American first. Dan Crenshaw tweeted this out. First member of Congress to ever describe terrorists who killed thousands of Americans on 9/11 as some people who did something, unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And can you imagine if she was representing your community, and you were in her district, how embarrassed you must feel today?
Many people are.
Yeah, so that is very, very, very dangerous, very, very disturbing and disgusting rhetoric there from whatever his name is, Brian Kilmeade. And it's like the fact that it trivializes September 11th was followed by the New York Post cover showing towers under attack, the Twin Towers, which seems to in turn to inspire the Trump video. So a false claim made by Omar by a fringe figure in Australia who owes his celebrity to journalists working for Rupert Murdoch was then amplified by Murdoch's American television network and Murdoch's New York tabloid, both of which shape the American president's worldview. So you can see how it kind of works here, the kind of triggering of events to get it into this idiot's brain and out to his millions of Twitter followers who are somehow even dumber than he is. So yeah, Omar said in a statement released late on Sunday that the incitement of the had produced a response from Trump's followers since the president's tweet Friday evening saying, quote, "She has experienced an increase in death threats on my life, many directly referencing or replying to the president's video," she wrote. So yeah, very, very disturbing. After Sanders and Warren spoke, Jay Inslee, Beto O'Rourke, Pete Buttigieg, and Julian Castro, John Hickenlooper, Amy Klobuchar, Kamala Harris, Tulsi Gabbard, they've all come out, and Christian Gillibrand, and Cory Booker, Stacey Abrams, Rashida Tlaib, AOC, James Clyburn, Joe Kennedy, Anna Presley, Jim McGovern, Pramila Jayapal, Jerry Nadler, they've all come out and said it, and condemned things. To give you an idea, this is James Clyburn. The president's attack against at Ilhan are immoral and reckless. This behavior does not reflect who we are as a nation. There's no place in our leadership, saying hashtag I stand with Ilhan. This is like the big thing. Of course, Spencer Walsh Radio Network all standing with Ilhan Omar very proudly, of course, because of this. It just absolutely, it's hard to like measure your speech when you just say pretty much the most basic things. And when they make this point, when they attack her for saying this, like some people did something, what she was trying to say is, if you look at the broader context of the speech, you say, and how many, if you really want to go through the tape.